we have a national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame here coming up this week. It's going to be two rivals of Michigan going at it, trying to get closer to Michigan in winning another chip. Michigan has 12 of them, second behind Alabama. Ohio State has 8 national titles. Notre Dame has 11, so Notre Dame could tie Michigan for second all-time in national titles. But Ohio State leads this series 6-0 since 1995. Notre Dame won 2 games before that. Ohio State is first in win percentage, and Notre Dame is fourth in win percentage. Ohio State is second in wins, and Notre Dame is fourth in total wins. So, 2 blue bloods, if you want to call them, along with Michigan, Alabama. Who else is blue bloods? Texas, right? There's a lot of blue bloods out there. Tell me yours in the story below, in the comments below. But man, this season, Ohio State is 13-2. Their 2 losses are to Oregon at Oregon by 1 point, and then Michigan at home by 3 points, where they only scored 10 points. But their wins are versus Iowa, Penn State, Indiana, Tennessee, Oregon again, so they avenged their loss versus Oregon in the playoff, and then they just beat Texas. Them are all great wins for Ohio State. Let's start with them, and then we'll talk about Notre Dame in the second portion of this video. But Ohio State's offense is getting 36 points per game. That's 12th in the nation. They're getting 428 yards, is all down at 30 in the nation, but they have played great competition in the Big Ten. You heard the teams that I just listed off. Passing yards per game, 265, which is 25th in the nation. Rushing yards per game is all the way down at 65th for Ohio State, 163 yards per game rushing. It starts with quarterback Will Howard for Ohio State. He is 73% on the season, 3,779 yards, and a 9.4 average per completion. 33 touchdowns to 10 interceptions in 15 games. That's pretty damn good. 12 sacks, but he also has 7 rushing touchdowns. He only averages just over a yard per rush or something like that. But once he gets close to the end zone, you better watch out for him doing that, Notre Dame. All right, at running back, they're a 2-headed monster. Quinshon Judkins has 50 more carries than Travion Henderson. He has 960 yards. That's a 5.2 average. He has 12 rushing touchdowns. He also has 140 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. But Travion Henderson had way less carries, 132, for 967 yards this season, a 7.3 average, 10 touchdowns. So the best thing for him was Judkins coming in and taking the load, and now Travion Henderson can be Travion Henderson. And he has 10 rushing touchdowns, 284 receiving yards this season, and a touchdown as well out of the backfield. Tight end for Ohio State, Guy Scott Jr. has 26 catches for only 249 yards. That's a 9.6 average, and he has 2 receiving touchdowns. But, Ohio State, they are wide receiver lovers, and they're coming up right here and right now. Jeremiah Smith is amazing. This guy is only a freshman, and these are the numbers that he has. 71 catches for 1,227 yards. That's a 17.3 average. He's got 14 receiving touchdowns as a freshman. He has 52 yards rushing as well and a touchdown. So there you go. He can do it all. That is scary going forward and in this game for Notre Dame. Now, Emeka Egbuka had 75 catches this season for 947 yards, 12.6 average, and he had 10 touchdowns receiving. Carnell Tate, 50 catches this season for 698 yards. That's a 14-yard average, and he had 4 receiving touchdowns for Ohio State. And then add in Brandon Ennis, who had 13 catches for 157 yards. That's a 12-yard average and 1 receiving touchdown. The kicker for Ohio State, Fielding, is a good kicker, except versus Michigan. He's 11 of 15 this season. I believe he missed 2 of those versus Michigan. So, we're just their kryptonite. You cannot put that against him. The offensive line that much has been made of for Ohio State. The O-line isn't good enough early in the season, everyone was saying. And then they lost guys. Well, it seems like the backups who stepped in because of injuries are better than the ones who got injured because they're here in the national title game. They have been doing the game plan that they want on offense, and it's been working for them. I don't see any hiccups. In fact, I think they did get better as the season went on, and that's what's supposed to happen for a national title contending team. Hate to say it, but they're going to go up against Notre Dame's defense, and defensively, Notre Dame's giving up 14 points per game, which is second in the nation. Guess behind who? Ohio State. Ohio State's defense is the number 1 defense in the nation, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Ohio State's offense versus Notre Dame's defense right here. 14 points per game is second in the nation. They're only giving up 298 yards per game. That's 9th in the nation. Passing yards per game, 165. That's second in the nation to Ohio State. Rushing yards per game, 133. That's 42nd. So they allow rushing yards per game. Notre Dame gives up rushing yards, but they played Army and Navy and some other heavy rushing attacks. So you can take that a couple of ways. Either the rush defense for Notre Dame is damn good, or the pass defense for Notre Dame was helped by the fact that they played Army and Navy and they do not ever pass the ball. Notre Dame better hope it's the former of those, because Ohio State's offense can be electric in the pass game. That said, I think Notre Dame's defense is legitimate and will hold Will Howard and company to a limit of, say, 31 points in this game. I think that's the ceiling. I'll give you the prediction here coming up, but Notre Dame will have to score at least 21 points to make this a game. So now we have to look at Notre Dame and the other side of the ball and how their offense can do versus Ohio State's number 1 defense. Notre Dame this season is 14-1. That ugly loss to NIU, but it was the second game of the season, very early in the season. Notre Dame has beaten the likes of Texas A&M, Louisville, Navy, Army. So Navy, Army. They beat Indiana. So did Ohio State. So that's a light victory. They beat Georgia. Granted, Carson Beck was hurt. And then they beat Penn State. So another light victory of Ohio State. Notre Dame's offense is getting 37 points per game. That's 6th in the nation. 405 yards per game is down at 53rd in the nation, though, for Notre Dame. Passing yards per game, 194 is 102nd in the nation. That's not good going up against this Ohio State defense, but rushing yards per game, 211. That's 14th in the nation. And the fact that they got here proves that I wanted Michigan to be more of a running quarterback-centric team this season. And, Notre Dame did it, and it worked, and we'll see if it can work versus Ohio State. But Riley Leonard, their quarterback, is their leading rusher on the team, at least as far as carries and probably yards. We'll get to that. But he's 66% passing the ball. He's got 2,606 yards. That's a 7-yard average per completion. That's not very good. 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He's been sacked 18 times, even though he's a running quarterback. But as a runner, he leads the team in carries, 167 for 866 yards. That's a 5.2 average. And he has 16 rushing touchdowns. Jeremiah Love is his cohort in the backfield for the most part. And you got Jordan Price. But Jeremiah Love had 159 carries for 1,121 yards. That's a 7.1 average. That's damn good. He had 17 rushing touchdowns as well. So 16 for Leonard, 17 for him, 7 for Price. They're a rushing team. Notre Dame is. But Jeremiah Love does have receiving yards, 232 out of the backfield for an 8.9 average and 2 touchdowns. So Notre Dame can switch some things up and have some trick plays and catch the number 1 defense off guard. It's going to be up to the offensive coordinator for that to happen. They have the players. Jadarian Price had 117 carries, 733 yards, 6.3 average, and 7 touchdowns. Aeneas Williams had 34 carries for 219 yards, 6.4 average, and 2 touchdowns as well. He had 172 receiving yards, a 9.6 average. So that's pretty damn good out of the backfield. At tight end, they don't throw to him much, but he's an amazing blocker. Mitchell Evans only has 39 carries for 369 yards, a 9.5 average, and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver for Notre Dame. They don't have a Amon-Ra St. Brown on their team. They don't have a Emeka Buka. They don't have the freshman Jeremiah Smith. They don't have that guy. But they have 6 capable wide receivers on this team. Jaden Greathouse leads the way with 464 yards on the season on 36 catches. That's a 12.9 average, and he has 2 receiving touchdowns. Bo Collins has 37 catches, 458 yards. That's a 12.4 average, and he has 3 receiving touchdowns. Jordan Faison, 29 catches, 350 yards, 12.1 average, and a touchdown. Jaden Harrison, Chris Mitchell, and Jaden Thomas are all capable wide receivers as well for this Notre Dame offense. So, also, Notre Dame's kicker sucks, but he made that game winner versus Penn State in that last game that they played. So, if they need him, it'll be interesting. Can Notre Dame's offense attack and score versus Ohio State's number 1 defense? We got to talk about their defense, and then I'll give a prediction here. But Ohio State's defense, they're giving up 12 points per game. That's first in the nation. We already said that. Yards per game, 251. That's first in the nation. We said that. Passing yards per game, 161. That's first in the nation. Does not like it matters versus Notre Dame, though. Rushing yards per game, 90. That's all they give up in a game. That's third in the nation. I don't think Notre Dame can score 21 versus Ohio State. Once Ohio State makes Notre Dame one-dimensional because they shut down Riley Leonard and this run game, that's all they have to do, it's going to be easy pickings for the secondary that Ohio State has in this game. So I believe that this will be a low-scoring game and a close game towards the end. The line is Ohio State -8. The total is 45.5 in this final game of the season, the national championship game. I believe Ohio State wins this battle on one more offensive big play, or say they win the turnover margin. They get an extra possession in the game. If they get a couple of those or a couple big plays, this could get it out of hand for Ohio State. So I have them winning this game 24-17. So for you bettors out there, I would take Ohio State plus 8 points, or Ohio State -8. No, wait a minute. Yeah, Ohio State's favored by 8. That's still a 7. I would stay away from that. And then I would take the under in this game for the total of the game, because I think it's going to only be 41 points and it's 45.5. Yeah, I would take the under, stay away from the total, but Ohio State is going to win this national championship. That's it. That's it for a Michigan fan that has to hand the crown. They have to hand the crown over to somebody else. One of these two teams. One of these two teams are going to take the crown from Michigan. And that's sad to say, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be Ohio State. But then, we'll see what happens next year. So thanks for watching, but go Blue. We're going to bounce back. We got Underwood. We're getting all these great recruits. We're getting all these great transfer portal players. Watch out for Michigan next year, but this year is Ohio State's year. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day out there, even though this is a possibility. Thank you.